Month or so, we've been going through a sermon series at Living Faith called #Advent, and we've been looking at these different themes of Christmas, these different things that we're really trying to invest our hearts in, and how do we share those with other people? How do we put those out on social media? How do we live those things out publicly with the people around us? And we've been looking at hope, peace, love, and joy, and hopefully you got to go to the different stations of the hope, the peace, the love, and the joy, and figure out how we can tangibly see these things in our lives. Now, the tradition of the Advent candles came from the Middle Ages, which I love the history of it. I think it's really cool that it was people who saw a need for this during the Christmas season, probably because things weren't super hopeful, peaceful, joyous, and loving in that season, you know? And they set it out to try to figure out how we could live that as people throughout that season. And as we've looked at these things, as we've looked at these different topics and have heard different people speak on them, there's one thing I'm incredibly sure of in my life, is that I am woefully inadequate of all four of those things. All of those things are things that I do not have down, you know? I'm a pretty hopeful person most of the time, really kind of, my wife would probably say in an unhealthy way, where I'm like, it'll work out, it'll be fine, you know? Like I just have the faith that it's gonna work until I don't, and I go into full pessimism mode and I start questioning if anything good can come from anything ever, you know? Like I just twist, like I just make the turn. I'm a pretty peaceful person too. You know, most people I think who know me would say I'm a pretty even keel, like can handle hard information. Like when things hit me, I have a good poker face. Until chaos seems to be everywhere, and then I throw up my hands and I'm like, burn it all down. You know, like I just give up. I'm also a pretty loving person. Like I really genuinely love loving people who are broken, who are hurting, until I'm just done with that and I have no more energy for it, and I will walk by the person who very obviously needs it because I just don't have anything left. I'm also a relatively joyful person. Like I love the exciting, fun things around me until everything kind of starts going wrong and I'm just like, okay, I'm going to melt down and I'm just going to jump in, you know? In all of these things, I, in and of myself, am woefully inadequate. Like genuinely, like there's not one of those things that I can take on for long, you know? We as people can do all of these things in the short term and really make people believe that we have it under control. Until we can't, and then there's no point in even trying anymore because everyone knows it's fake, right? And really, when I think about it, when we try to do these things ourselves, it has a short shelf life. So Isaiah 9 talks about this. The prophet Isaiah talks about a prophecy of the coming of Jesus. And I want you to listen to the language of this because the middle part you've heard during Christmas a lot, but we don't hear the beginning and the end very much. Isaiah 9, 2-7 says, "The people walking in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of deep darkness, a light has dawned. You have enlarged the nation and increased their joy. They rejoice before you as people rejoice at the harvest, as warriors rejoice when dividing the plunder. For as in the day of Midian's defeat, you have shattered the yoke that burdens them, the bar across their shoulders, the rod of their oppressor. Every warrior's boot used in battle and every garment rolled in blood will be destined for burning, will be fuel for the fire. For unto us a child is born." To us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Makes the Christmas song hit a little different, right? Of the greatness of his government and peace there will be no end. He will reign on David's throne and over his kingdom, establishing and upholding it with justice and righteousness from that time on and forever. The zeal of the Lord Almighty will accomplish this. You see, we live in a world that is created for hope, peace, love, and joy, but a world that simultaneously cannot sustain its own hope, peace, love, and joy. Isn't that interesting? Like, literally, we're built for it, and we can't do it because we need Jesus. And in the middle of the chaos at the beginning of this, and in the middle of the unknown at the end of this, we have this hope in the form of Jesus here. And I'll tell you, like, when we read this verse here in the middle, this verse 6, for unto us a child is born, to us a son is given, we see this really incredible, just straight out gift to us that takes little to no work to receive this gift, like basically none. I think the only two that really worked for this were Mary and Joseph. You know, Mary more than Joseph, let's be honest. They are the ones who took care of him in the womb. They're the ones who went through the birth. And again, that was mostly Mary. Joseph probably hurt his left hand or something, but it wasn't as big of a deal. They took care of him, raising him as a kid. They went through all this, but he's a gift to all of us. 2,000 years later, he is a gift to every single one of us here. And that's a hard thing to really fully understand. I actually went through something kind of like this, though. 7 years ago, during Christmas time, we got a phone call. See, we had adopted Ben and Ellie out of foster care, and that was a horrendous battle. That was a 2-year hardship where we fought and fought and fought to get these kids into a safe home. And we went through a lot with them that was just incredibly hard. It was a lot of work. But then we got a call from the lawyer who had finalized that adoption, and he said, hey, there's a third one. Kaylee was just born. Do you want her? And we said yes, and within like 2 or 3 hours, we were in the hospital holding this baby, and we were like, what just happened? Like Kaylee was literally the closest thing to just like a gift of a baby that I think you can get, outside of just like somebody handing you a baby and running away. We were really close to that. And that's kind of what this is. For most of us, our salvation experience, our accepting Jesus, our having this relationship with him is literally just a gift that somebody thrust into our hands and said, it's yours. Like, that's who Jesus is. And he is the one who embodies this hope and peace and love and joy. I will say, after the time that they handed us Kaylee, you know, it was Christmas time, and we had to go to the hospital every day and walk down these hallways that were decked out like Christmas with, you know, tinsel everywhere and Santa hats all over the place. And we went through a lot after that relationship started. There was a lot of turmoil. There was a lot of working to get her to become the kid that she is today, and us to become the parents that we are today. There's a lot of change after that. And with this free gift of Jesus, it's similar, except Jesus has no changing to do. It's just us. So he gives us this free gift, and then he encourages us to live this thing called holiness. And I think that is what could so easily be missing from these 4 things. You know, when we look at the hope, peace, love, and joy of Christmas, without the holiness of Jesus, we can't sustain these things. Without him working in our lives, we can't actually have these things. And I'll tell you, like, this gift that we get from Jesus is a free gift. It is no strings attached. If you've never said yes to that, I'm telling you, it will change your entire life. It takes a lot of work after, you know, little Kayleys are a lot of work. Building those relationships are a lot of work, but I promise you it will change everything. And that free gift of salvation is something that I couldn't imagine not having, but it also includes work on our parts. So as we kind of move past this series, as we move past this Christmas season, tomorrow we're opening presents and all that, and then the next day it's just like life as usual for another 11 months. I want to encourage you towards holiness, because hope for a season is not hope. Peace for a short season is not really peace, and love temporarily is not real love. Joy for just a moment isn't real joy. Like, to get these things to actually sink in, it takes Jesus affecting and changing our entire lives. It takes us giving him everything. And I want to leave you guys with this, this incredible verse out of Ephesians 4, 1 through 2, or 1 and 2. It's just, as a prisoner for the Lord, then, I urge you to live a life worthy of the calling you've received. Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. Because, like I said at the beginning, I am not good at these things. None of us are good at these things. We can do them for a really short season. And in order to really live these things out in our lives, we have to give God our pessimism. We have to give God our chaos, our wanting to explode, our meltdowns, our indifference, our selfishness, our hurt. And we have to give him all of these things that are eventually going to come out, and he changes them. He heals them. He moves us past them. And I think that's the true story of Christmas, guys. Like, Jesus came as a baby, as a free gift for us, literally just handed to us. But if we think the story stops there, we completely miss the point of all four of these things. Because, as a prisoner of the Lord, I urge you to live a life worthy of the calling you've received. Because that's worth it. Because it is worth our entire lives to do that. Be completely humble and gentle. Live out the things that God calls us to live out. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. So the two things I want to encourage you here that we need to do is realize that we cannot have hope, peace, love, or joy without Jesus. It just doesn't happen. And realize that we can't experience those things, we can't share those things unless we choose holiness in our lives. Unless we constantly go back to him, asking him to refill those jugs in our life, like to refill those reservoirs that are completely empty from time to time. It all comes from Jesus. So as we close out tonight, we sing Silent Night. I want to encourage you guys, don't just sing Silent Night because it's what we do at Christmas, or because little kids get to have fire. And by little kids, I mean Deshaun. It's not just that we get to have fun and celebrate this thing as a family. It's that we get to remember that on that silent night 2,000 years ago, we were given a free gift that we did not deserve. That we were given a new start that we did not deserve, and we were given the grace to live out this hope, peace, love, and joy that we cannot do in and of ourselves. So it's from that place that we sing this, and that we connect with our God. And like I said before, I'd encourage you, if you don't know Jesus, if all you know is Jesus, the fairy tale that those Christians talk about, or that you learned about when you were a little kid or whatever. If that's the Jesus you know, I'd encourage you to seek him tonight, to seek him in this song, to talk to one of us after, because I promise you, he will change your whole life, and he'll actually give you the ability to live out these things.